So Stewart Filmscreen is a 70-year plus family-owned company founded by Roy Stewart and his two sons in Torrance, California. We have great ties with the Hollywood community, so we have been known for not only our creativity but the quality of the product as well. Today, a couple generations later, Mary Stewart oversees the family company, and we have offices not only in LA, close to Hollywood, but in Ohio, Europe, and Asia as well. And we've even, our partners are wide and varied. We do a lot of work with theme parks and government installations, including a house that might be a certain shade of white. And interestingly enough, we've also won a couple of Academy Awards. So go back to Moses parting the Red Sea. Stewart Filmscreen got one of its two Oscars for technical merit or technical achievement based on that scene with the precursor to green screen technology, blue screen technology. So it's kind of nice to have what I believe is the only Oscars owned by a screen company. So Stewart Filmscreen is the only residential screen manufacturer that builds its screens from literally the molecular level. In one door comes 55-gallon drums of PVC pellets that we turn into a slurry, and then we manufacture our screens one layer at a time. This ensures complete vertical integration. It ensures quality control throughout the whole process. And we have industry-specific people that will look at a project along the way to ensure that that craftsmanship and quality maintain. Some of the other key advantages that Stewart offers over other people is our high-grade aluminum. This is a very robust product. We also will use oversized tubes for our rollers. And while that doesn't seem that important, when you start getting to the larger size, it is the primary reason why the screens perform like they should, for years. In fact, we have screens that have been in use for 20 plus years, in fact, some that are even older than that. And having that quality ensures that you're getting good value for what you're paying for. Well, there's definitely a few trends out in the marketplace as we see projectors get better and cheaper. We're seeing a lot of sub $5,000 projectors. And to correlate best with that, we introduced a product called SEMA, which gives us a more value engineered product without sacrificing that famed Stewart quality. So rest assured that when you're purchasing a projector that's more budget oriented or price oriented, we have a screen that can still deliver the performance of the product. So our SEMA line has definitely outperformed quite a bit others because, again, we're not sacrificing that quality for performance, and you start thinking about what the competition's like and what competitors do. This is our entry-level point, and we go from there, where others, they tend to go up but don't go as far as we might. So it's kind of nice to have that product availability in that family. But I would say that SEMA gives us a good leg up on the competition because of the quality of the product. We do manufacture our screens 40 by 90 feet seamless, which is the largest size capacity that anybody can make that screen. So we have a distinct advantage over the competition in that there really is no size limitations for us when we manufacture a screen. Great question. SEMA is a great standalone product. It does differ from our standard Stewart products in a number of ways without sacrificing anything. What we'll do is the aluminum will be less, so there's less cost in terms of how much aluminum is in the frame, but it's very solid still. The material itself will be a couple layers less than our, say, our Studio Tech material. So again, you're talking about our labor, but still it's 1.1 gain. And speaking of material, we only have two options. Where we have 18 different Stewart materials, I only have two options for SEMA, our Neve white and our Tiburon gray. So that does limit the options, it kind of reduces the price a little bit. The other thing that will do that is we've kind of just maintained a few sizes. So there's certain stock sizes that the SEMA will have. I can't go custom. I won't, by having it pre-configured, we're able to have an efficiency of manufacturing to pass that cost on to you. Our flagship product is easily our Director's Choice four-way masking screen. It's been in the marketplace for 15 plus years, or about 15 years, I should say. In fact, recently we won an award for having it as a Hall of Fame product from CEDIA, the governing body for kind of what we do. And interestingly enough, the very next day we introduced a revision for the first time in 15 years where we reduced the size of the frame by 75%. Doing so gives us a much bigger image within the same given space. And four-way masking is a great way to truly immerse yourself in the movies, because movies come in a variety of aspect ratios, from the squarish 1.33 to 1 with Gone with the Wind, all the way out to Quentin Tarantino's latest, the Hateful Eight at 2.76. So by having these masking panels that will come in, it eliminates any black bars that your projector might project and give it a much luxurious feel. In fact, give you better contrast, so you're having a much better presentation of the picture within your environment. But easily the Director's Choice flagship, Director's Choice four-way masking is our flagship product, and is a great way to experience a movie. Ultra thin, thin bezel frames for screens is a nice idea if you're looking more for a design-oriented and aesthetic manner. But in terms of quality of picture, you're better off going with the standard 3.5-inch Velux velvet border. It helps improve contrast. It helps deal with overscan. Having a wraparound or a thin bezel is great for looks, but you can run into some placement issues and where the image doesn't fill the screen properly or completely. So, I do recommend the standard 3.5-inch border if you're looking for a fixed frame. But certainly if you're more design-oriented, a thin bezel, zero border product will suffice. Just know going into it that you might have some placement issues. Wow, I could go in a couple different directions in terms of material choice, but I do have to say Studio Tech is the choice. The fact that a Hollywood type, a director, a movie editor who might have a $70,000 Director's Choice four-way masking screen that he's using is going to have the very same material on that screen as you can in your 120-inch screen at home. So I'd have to say Studio Tech is definitely the best material of choice. I'll tell you, a recent addition is Gemini. So if I were to say I watch movies and football and asked you what the differences would be, a lot of people will answer aspect ratio. And while that's a good answer, it's not the right answer. The right answer is lighting condition. Case in point, when I'm watching a movie, the lights are always off, and the movie's typically 240, maybe 235, but widescreen. And having our Studio Tech material for that is a great way to get the best possible picture. However, when I'm watching football, all the lights are on and the content's in 16:9. So the material choice of one activity is going to be the wrong material choice for the other activity. So how do you accommodate that? Well, Gemini is a motorized product that has two rollers, two screens, and one chassis. And the best way to describe it is, for when you're watching movies, you've got your Studio Tech 100 or Studio Tech 130, and you're in 240, 235, and when the lights are off, it's the best picture. For the other option, when you're watching TV, if you will, or football, the lights are all on, you're going to want to use an ALR choice, such as Firehawk or our new Phantom product, to give you the best of both worlds. And having that ability to give you the best of both worlds truly makes that space much more usable, because, again, as I mentioned, one material for one activity is the wrong material for the other, and now you can do both in one chassis. Well, I kind of see the next big thing from us right now, and that's Phantom, our Haler product, and that stands for high ambient light rejecting. And Phantom was recently introduced, and Stewart invented the category of ALR back in 2004 with Firehawk, and we have since refined it, made it better. Phantom is the latest material, and it's 85% light rejection, and that's where similarities from any other brands come into play. Because we can manufacture our own screen at 40 by 90 feet, size is not an issue for us from an ALR perspective, where others might cap out at, say, 150. We can go much larger if need be. The other thing too is our product is flexible. So what that means from a flexible product is now I can motorize it. I can have it in a motorized housing and have it come down and say in front of a bank of windows, where others might be a fixed panel. Because it's flexible, not only can I motorize it, but now I could perf it, I can micro perf it. And what that means is now it becomes acoustically transparent. So you can have and place speakers behind the screen, the sound will transmit through the screen. But I'm gonna tell you, my favorite thing about Phantom has nothing to do with all that. It has everything to do with 4K. And even with 4K, it's not about the resolution, it's about the color spectrum. With UHD specs, we now have the ability to see more and more colors than we've had previously. And the way I describe Phantom is that it doesn't shift colors. And the way I describe it essentially is take a box of 64 crayons, take the orange and reds out and put in more blues. And that's going to be other ALR screens. They're gonna have it's gonna shift to blue. Now don't take my word for it. Go put on Cars, put on Talladega Nights or TiVo, NASCAR from the weekend. That white safer barrier wall that's around the track should be a bright white, not a blue. And that's where we come in, where we have an advantage, is that you get all the colors of the rainbow with Phantom. So having an 85% high ambient light rejecting screen gives you far more placements than you've ever thought possible. Even with our Firehawk, which is 65% light rejection, good general purpose screen, Phantom takes it to the next level. So something to think about when looking at projectors and screens, that you're not actually watching the projector. As good as that projector is, you're actually watching that projector's image on the projection screen. So you're watching the final product on the screen. So not all screens are the same. Not all screens are built the same. Not all white screens are the same as other white screens. Stewart Filmscreen maintains the notion of image fidelity. That's our standard. That is our go-to, is ultimately image fidelity. So keeping that in mind, I always urge people to compare, do their research. We offer samples so that they can compare one against the others. There's plenty of photos on the internet where people are putting, contrasting other brands with ours. And I urge you to do your research. I urge you to validate it with either third party or opinions from others that you trust. But just keep in mind, not all screens are the same, and we design them for image fidelity first. So in some cases, 4K ready is kind of dubious. So with Stewart screens, we have screens that are 16K rated. And it sounds incredulous to say 16K, but back in the 50s when filmmakers went from 35mm to 70mm film, the filmmakers were concerned that the added resolution of that film stock would get lost on the screen. We were able to actually test out that we could resolve that level of resolution on our screen. So today, our screens are 16K capable. Our SEMA product is 8K capable. So having that, a lot of it has to do with the manufacturing process. And being able to have that level, that resolution capability is not something that comes overnight. You actually have to engineer a product to get to that level. Interestingly enough, we get a number of calls on that. So essentially the answer to the question is the image will look soft. And we get on a regular basis emails and calls where someone will have a true 4K or even a faux K projector, and they'll talk about how they have a UHD player and the image is soft. Well, it turns out that it's ultimately the screen. The real issue is kind of like, it has to deal with the texture of the product. There is an added cost to manufacturing a texture-free surface. Having a texture is kind of like you watching a movie on 60 grit sandpaper, where ours might be 2000 wet dry sandpaper. There's a big difference between the texture of that sandpaper, and that translates into picture quality as well. And that's where our manufacturing process really comes into play, in giving you a texture-free and solid image from 4K. And in fact, recently, when manufacturers were using 8K projectors and faux 8K projectors, they were using our screen surfaces to resolve their demos and use in their demos. So it was fun for us to see. I think one of the biggest considerations to think of is your lighting condition. Screens are dumb. They don't know if it's a projector, a light bulb, or the sun coming through the window. And ambient lighting can greatly impact the quality of the image. So, one of the rules of thumb that I have, especially as it relates to ALR screens, is stand at the screen location, look back at the projector, and hold your hands out at a 45-degree angle. Anything outside with an ALR, I'm not too worried about. Anything inside, you want to cover up and you want to have some control. To get the best picture, though, you do want a dark room, and that's where our studio tech will definitely outperform other screens. But it needs to be really dark, because lighting can adversely affect the picture really quick. I know we've all seen bad examples, from bars to your neighbor's basement theater. So lighting is always probably the biggest condition, I would say.